God bless America, and thank you, Jesus, for our freedoms, our rights, and the Constitution that protects those rights here in America. What rights are we talking about? Well, the right to protest, the right to vote, the right to migrate to this country legally and become a citizen, the right to a fair trial, the right to not have your property searched and have your things taken from you just because they want to do it, the right to speak freely about your beliefs and the things that you see and the things that you hear, and to question those things, to bring attention to those things in the world that needs to hear it, the right to bear arms and protect oneself and family and property. These rights give every single American in this country, every single American, the right to be Americans. Why are they attacking the very foundation upon which the country was built, the one solid thing that continues and furthers our way of life? Why are they doing this? Who are they? And what would America look like if we didn't have these rights? If suddenly we wake up tomorrow and your First and Second Amendment rights, which arguably are the two most important rights on the entire list, were suddenly no longer your right, what would America look like? What would happen here?
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
We will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
We have some breaking news now, and a woman has been arrested by Cheshire Police in relation to an inaccurate information on social media about the attacker in the Southport murders. It says a 55-year-old woman from near Chester was arrested earlier today, Thursday the 8th, of course, on suspicion of publishing written material to stir up racial hatred and false communications. She is currently being held in police custody. Chief Superintendent Alison Ross has also made a statement saying that the protest, has been fueled by malicious and inaccurate communications online. It is a stark reminder of the dangers of posting information on social media platforms without checking the accuracy. It's also a warning that we are all accountable for our actions.
This is just a little bit of what's going on around the world, some of the things that are being said, some of the attacks that are being made on our rights as citizens. These threats are coming from another country that thinks that they can impose their will and their laws upon the citizens of this country who have their rights protected under the United States Constitution for now. Maybe not forever. It could be a day very soon, depending on how things go in November, that suddenly you don't have the right to say what you feel, to say what you believe, to speak your mind. You don't have the right anymore to be an American as we call ourselves today. You may not have the right to protect yourself against those that wish to harm you. You may not have the right to do anything but get in line, stay in line, or go to jail. We're going to talk about all of that and more right now here on the Southern Drawl Podcast. Let's get it. Guys, we're going to take a look at a video that was sent to me. This is reporting on the things that are going on in the UK. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I don't know a lot about what's going on in the UK or about the inner workings of their politics. That's not something I focus on. I do know that their country is in turmoil right now. I do know that there is a lot of protests and a lot of violence happening. I do know that there's a lot of labels being thrown around where one side's being called racist and far right and all these things, while the other side is being called invaders, and similar to what we're seeing here in the United States. I will say that both countries, the United States and America, both have pathways to citizenship in their nations. Those pathways have been subverted, have been sidestepped in both countries. So you're seeing in one country the boiling over of the tension that has been created by the decisions of politicians. In our country, you see that pot heating up tremendously. So let's talk about that. This video is a lot longer than what I'm going to show here, just for transparency's sake. I am going to cut this video up a little bit, but I'm also going to try to represent, because this video does, over the entirety, try to represent or show viewpoints from both sides of this argument and both sides of this controversy going on in the UK. And I'm going to try not to do a disservice to that. I'm going to try to show viewpoints from both sides, so you can get a little insight into what both sides are thinking or fighting over or arguing about. So let's take a look at that right now. This comes from Channel 5. They call themselves Channel 5. Anyway, their logo being on the bottom, and I'll make sure that you can see the pathway to their channel if you want to go check them out. So let's take a look at that, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Look here. 3 girls were killed by that kid in Southport.
It's an act of violence that shattered the peace of the summer holidays in a seaside town.
3 girls were killed.
BB King, Elsie Stankham and Elise Aguirre.
However, 186,000 Palestinians have been killed. Most of them are children. Do you see us burning every synagogue that supports the Israeli regime?
Another fire, another night of chaos.
Anti-immigration rioters attack a hotel in Rotherham.
Do you see us holding innocent people responsible?
Crowds clashing with police outside a hotel where immigrants are being housed.
Yeah, you don't. We're coming in peace. And imagine our anger. Imagine how we feel every day in Chechnya, in Syria, Iraq, Palestine, Kashmir, Mali, Libya, everywhere. We see our children killed. We don't behave in a manner that you see these hooligans behaving in, because they don't care for their girls. They're here for violence, and they're here because they hate us. A black Christian man born in Wales killed them girls.
Axel Rudakabana is 17, British, born in Wales and of Rwandan heritage.
But who they're directing their anger at? They're directing it at Muslims only. Why? Why? Because their agenda is anti-Islam, straight up.
This is our fucking country, not fucking theirs.
I'm here to save the kids. The children have been murdered. There's been a massacre on the street.
They've got the targeting little white girls all over the country. Let's call a spade a fucking spade.
It's like Russian roulette at this point. Which one's going to be next? No one questioned why BLM were out. No one questions why Palestine are out. We're saving the kids.
They're calling us far right. We're not far right. We're all fathers and parents of children. These immigrants are coming in without paperwork. We're lying about their ages. We don't know nothing about the backgrounds, and that's what it's about.
We don't want to be branded far right. You know, we're here for the right reasons. I want my kids to know I didn't stay silent. Leave our kids alone.
It's about children that have lost their lives in this city, and we're passionate about that up here.
This is not religious. That's bollocks. Fucking bollocks. This is about the wrong-uns they're letting in. You can be a Christian, you can be whatever. You're coming in, you've got no intention of fucking helping the country. You're here to cause trouble. You're here to take and thieve and steal. You're here to stay for nothing. So, unfortunately, that's a no-no.
There's 50,000 people here on an MI6 list, isn't there? Start with them, get rid of them, get rid of the people who are killing kids, raping kids, get rid of them.
This world is so corrupt. Labour's supposed to love the North West, supposed to be for the working class. They've stabbed the real people who has got real concerns. They've stabbed a lot of us in the back. And we're supposed to stand here and let everybody call us right-wing and Nazis. I've got Asians in my family. I ain't racist one bit. What I am is scared of this government.
We've now got two-tier Kia coming on the news and having the audacity to call the general public far-right.
I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend.
I've seen all this coming. No one wanted it. We've tried to warn about it, and I'm still going to try and warn about it. I don't want to fight anybody. We don't want wars with Muslims. I don't think it's a good idea attacking mosques at all. I'm not a conservative either. I'm not an anarchist. I want a decent party that cares about the people. That's all we want. Every person, doesn't matter where you're from.
Okay, so if Tories weren't the answer, Labour wasn't the answer, who is?
I'm not a politician and I'm thick as pig shit, but I can talk to people. I've never been to school, I can only write my own name, but I've got an heart as big as a lion, and I'll stand there against anybody for the sake of our country. People need to wake up against Labour. These are the rats. We're not racist, we're scared.
I don't want the violence. We've got to try and do it peacefully, but this has to be the final straw where there's a clear message sent to those in charge that you either step up or you step aside now.
I was in Southport on Tuesday.
Police tried to keep apart a group of far-right protesters and a much larger anti-fascist counter-protest.
The media absolutely corrupt. They lied. There wasn't a single member of the EDL there. There weren't a member of the far right there. There was little girls, older women. There was older men. There was young men, middle-aged men, outraged at what the government's allowing to happen to us, what the government's allowing.
Defund the BBC, the media are the lies, the media is the virus.
Much like at protests in the United States, a line of riot police who sustained minor injuries throughout the course of the day had formed a sort of demilitarized zone between nationalist Stop the Boats protesters and an equally sized counter-protest of mostly left-leaning Liverpool locals who showed up in person to confront a mob of who they believed to be far-right racist protesters.
They're all inbred. Yeah, they need a dentist.
They're not interested in like children that were killed in Southport. They just want to cause a fight. We're a multicultural city, a city of sanctuary, and I hope they get lost.
What do you think the solution is? Throw them all into the sea. That's what the chant says.
Solution is, well, to get rid of capitalism and have a social society, and then these people would be catered for, not blaming it on fucking immigrants and refugees and what have you. They've obviously got issues because they've been let down, no dentists, no doctors, no housing, right? But that's not immigrants or refugees' fault. That's the fault of this fucking government.
Despite this frontline tension, it appeared that the vast majority of counter-protesters weren't actually interested in having a direct confrontation with English nationalists, and instead had organized their own rally at nearby St. George's Hall in support of migrants and refugees.
Oh, someone's just got married. Oh. See, this is Liverpool. And the far right is trying to threaten that.
Wait, a quick explanation, what happened in Southport?
Obviously, I mean, there was a horrible attack in which 3 children lost their lives. What happened since then was a massive lie about the identity of that attacker, which was, led by the likes of Tommy Robinson, Lawrence Fox, of other far right people online. Also the likes of Nigel Farage is complicit.
We will only stop this if we start deporting people that come illegally.
This led people in Southport, racists and far-right people to feel emboldened to come out on the street and to attack a mosque that had no connection to the identity of the attacker. I think it's also important to say that even if the attacker was a Muslim or a migrant or the things that they were lying about, it still does not license the far-right attacks on communities we've seen around Britain.
I think it's a reflection of what's happening internationally, in that you've got a crisis of capitalism, living standards for, in society going downhill, just a general crisis of the system. Far-right groups, obviously what they do is they latch on to the deep anger that exists. They build in the most impoverished areas of the country, and they rile a lot of very young people up, young men up with very toxic ideas, and they send them out to go and attack migrant communities. That's a real threat we have to take seriously.
We need to tell those people the alternative march. We need to get truth through to them. And that's important. It's all right, Steve. We're suffering the rages of capitalism. We're suffering the rages of, if Tony Blair didn't go and cause a fucking war in Iraq, or at least support that fucking war, if we weren't selling bombs to everyone across the planet, and if we are this powerful, powerful country, and you are genuinely these powerful, powerful politicians, take on these other fuckers across the planet and negotiate with them and create peace. It's not going to be easy, but you can at least fucking try.
Really, to tackle all these problems, we need to transform society to a socialist one and create a society where wealth is shared more equally amongst the people that create it, which is the majority of the working class people, you know, the capitalists who own everything.
We cannot translate racism in this country. We are totally against EDL in their principles, in their foundations. They don't want any Muslims to be in this country. This country needs us. There's no...
What these people do here, brother, the police intimidate.
Relax.
It makes me feel angry. I get frustrated.
Yes.
But because I am Muslim, I have to be calm about this. You know, I have to be calm.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir! Yeah, man, the soldiers, the lions of Allah are all out today.
Bring the EDL.
We've come to stand up against these EDL fascists that have come to our town and that are telling us that how their town's meant to be run when most of them are junkies, smackheads, crackheads, and they're not contributing to this community or this society. How are the government letting people like this come here and cause a disturbance? We've got to stand up to them. We've got to show them that we're not scared of them. We ain't backing down from no one.
It's fucking the low scum.
And then you've got officers like this here swearing at us, calling us fucking fannies and this and that, where he thinks he's bad with a bat in his hand. Put everything down, man to man. Arrest me after that, no problem. They're brainwashed. That's what it is, they're brainwashed. They don't know what's going on. They've got one leader called Tommy Robinson that they all go off.
While all these idiots have been rioting, they don't know Tommy Robinson has fled the country. So you're all out for the cause here and the leader isn't even in the country. Sir loves the answer.
Violence is not the answer, but our religion tells us to stand up against kuffars that are not merciful, that are zalims, that are kuffars, and that's why we've come here together to stand together.
There's people like Jews that stand with us. There's Christianities that stand with us. There's Hindus that stand with us. Pan the camera, you can see thousands of us are here. We are protecting the mosques that happen in Stoke, in Sunderland, in Liverpool, in many other towns. But we're standing as one because we want what's right. We want peace. We are fighting for what's right.
Stay united, come together, protect your mosque, protect your families. If they are coming down to hunt you, to kill you, to trouble you, please do a self-defense. Defend yourself and defend your ideology and restrict them in your cities, in your towns. If you don't do that one, they will come to your house and they will chase you.
Wow, guys. Okay, so a lot of tension, a lot of anger. Both sides are definitely standing for what they believe, trying to get their points made and known. I don't understand everything that's going on, like I said, over in the UK. I don't understand their inner workings of their government, but obviously there's a lot of tension. We have similar tensions here in the United States, so if you're sitting there thinking that this kind of thing won't happen here in the United States, I believe that the last decade has more than shown us that this very thing is possible here in our country. The same kind of turmoil, the same kind of anger, the same kind of hatred. It's definitely possible. We've seen it. What worries me is that in this video, it seems that one side of this debate is being praised and almost uplifted for their viewpoints, while the other side is being painted as Nazis and far-right extremists. They're being demonized for what they believe. You hear these people saying, we're not racist, we're not any of that, we're just afraid. We're afraid. Everything that we know, love, care about, and believe in is under attack, and our government is aiding it. So we're afraid. Not only are they afraid, they're being told they don't have a right to be afraid. They don't have a right to speak their minds. They don't have a right to stand up against what they believe is tyranny. I don't believe that their violence is the way to go about it. Honestly, some of the video here that does show the violence is disgusting, but here's what I'll say. We've seen a whole lot of violence from the left as well. To pretend like one party is innocent is absolutely false. Any of these violent perpetrators bringing their violence out into the protest and trying to stoke violence in what should be a peaceful process, they don't have a right to be there, honestly. They should be removed from the streets and they should be prosecuted for crimes. But is that what's happening? Well, in a lot of cases, people that are being arrested aren't violent. They aren't perpetrating violence or hatred. They are standing up for their beliefs because they're afraid. So that'll never happen in the United States of America. I would argue different. You see, I think that what's happening in the United States is to try to accomplish exactly what's happening in the UK right now. I believe that the left is trying everything in their power to get the right to rise up and burn the cities down and be violent and be angry. That's the label they want to attach to us on the right. We're evil, we're angry, we're racist, we're bigots because we believe in our rights and we believe in America. We believe in law and we believe in pathways to citizenship. But that makes us bigots and racists for not wanting illegal immigrants pouring in over our borders, flooding our streets, and bringing crime to our communities. Just look at the way that the protests were handled for the BLM protests over the last decade, for the Antifa protests. We've had entire cities, businesses, police stations, government buildings burned to the ground. You're going to tell me there was no violence involved in these? These were peaceful protests? I beg to differ. There absolutely was violence. There's been police officers absolutely subjected to some of the most horrific violence that our streets in America have ever seen. They've been beaten, they've been spit on, they've been attacked, they've been defunded, they've been demonized. But yet, the right is who embodies political violence. According to a recent court ruling, people on the right embody political violence. Now, this individual sentenced to 20 years in prison for his participation in the January 6th riots at the Capitol building. He was violent. You read the accounts, this wasn't his first time being violent. He's been violent before. I have no issue whatsoever with violent criminals being prosecuted for their violent crimes. But there's been 1,400, I think is the latest number that I saw, American citizens. I'll fact check that number. Hold on. So there's been over 1,400 U.S. citizens who have been prosecuted for their participation on January 6th. A great majority of those people were not violent. They were not destructive. They were just there. Now, compare and contrast that to the BLM and the Antifa riots over the last couple of years, or last several years actually, damn near a decade. And you have entire cities burning, police officers being attacked, police stations and cars being destroyed, local business owners out of business, out of their job. This is violence. It's not peace. And yet in all of those cases, very few people were arrested. Very few people were prosecuted. And of the ones that were, a lot of them were barely sentenced to any sort of jail sentence or prison sentence for sure. Just does not happen. But they demonize the right. I'm telling you, what's happening here is a pointed attempt by the left in the United States of America to accomplish what's going on in the UK right now. If we can just get a reaction out of the right. We need the right to stand up and be violent. We know they can do it. We just got to poke and prod the right ways. And once they do, we'll prove our point that we have a better way and we're really the good ones. We're really the saints in all this. We'll take away their guns and we'll take away their rights. We'll take away their abilities to participate in things, demonize them to the highest degree, and then build back better in the image of our agenda. Now, I urge each and every one of you, all of you in America, legal American citizens, have the right to vote in November. Don't fall for this trap. Don't fall for this let's go be violent in the streets. It is a hook, line, and sinker waiting for you to take a bite. Don't bite. Don't bite. We have the battleground is already set. The battleground's already set. It requires you to just show up and vote on November 5th. Keep calm until then and vote on November 5th. That's what we have to do, guys. We cannot fall for this trap. They want the right to riot. They want the right to be angry. They've attacked Donald Trump in just about every possible way that a man can be attacked. They have drug him through every possible scenario to try to demonize this man. They've gone as far as even allowing him to be nearly assassinated. You cannot get angry and go out into the streets and do illegal things. That's what they want us to do. Do not fall for it. We have a better way. We're going to vote. And we have to vote. Why is it so important that we vote, guys? Why is it so important that we stay calm and do not overreact and let them play their games and show up on November 5th and vote conservative, vote for the future of this country, vote for your rights, vote for the Constitution, vote for the people that are going to protect it and protect you and keep the United States from becoming the UK? How do we accomplish it? We vote. We vote. That's it. They can say all they want. They want to take our guns away. They want to say that we're evil, that we're awful, that we're angry, that we're violent. We can prove them right. That'll get us nowhere. You prove them right, and they'll take everything you've got concerning rights. Don't fall for the trap, guys. Don't fall for the trap. Vote on November 5th. If we don't, the evil world system will continue to do exactly what it's doing right now, eroding everything that's great about this nation. It reminds me of Paul Harvey. I just ran across this the other day. I've heard it a bunch of times throughout my life, and I'm going to share it with you now. I think it's one of the most impactful statements I've heard in a long time. If you do not believe the devil is real, well, don't worry. He believes in you. No matter what he tries to pull, though, guys, we are stronger. He's already been defeated by our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and we know that. We know that as we get closer to the end of his days and as his time runs short, he becomes desperate. He grows desperate. He sows more and more seeds of evil to try to destroy God's beautiful creation. How is he doing this? Well, let's take a look. Mr. Paul Harvey, legendary radio voice. What a good man. I tell you what, if we had more Paul Harveys in the world. Paul Harvey speaking some truth right here, guys. Listen up.
If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. and thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
Wow. I mean, dude, that's powerful. Paul Harvey said these words in 1964. That was 60 years ago. 60 years ago. Well, boys and girls, I am here to tell you, the devil has kept right on doing what he's been doing for the last 60 years, and we are seeing exactly what that produces, what it looks like, and what it leads to. Guys, we've got to stand against the devil, and the time to do that is coming up in, well, just a couple of months. November 5th is the election day. We must stand against this tyranny. We must stand against this evil. We must do it by showing up en masse and voting en masse for our conservative values, for our candidate, and for our future here in this country, guys. That's what it boils down to. Until then, keep calm. Vote on November 5th. We cannot fall for the trap, the hook, line, and sinker. Don't fall for it. Don't go out there being violent. Don't go out there giving them a reason to plaster you all over the TV and the social medias, calling you the enemy. We are not the enemy. We are not racist. We are not people that want to subvert or squash the rights of other people. We're not that. But we have rights in our country. We have processes in our country. We have legal ways to accomplish citizenship and voting rights and all these things. These people want to come here and be a part of that, then they should do it legally. They should do it meaningfully. They should do it in a way that adds to the value of the nation. Guys, that's just what I think. Tell me what you think. We're going to be looking through the comments. We're being shadow banned really hard right now, so we're going to keep telling the truth because that's what we do here. So we're going to keep putting the content out. It's up to you guys to pick this content up and share it and spread it around and help us to spread the truth, guys. We love you. We thank you for what you're doing out there. We pray that you guys will continue to be free and be blessed. Join us next week on the Southern Drawl Podcast here on Southern Traditions. We'll see you then.